What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? What's shaking? Welcome to Jonathan Soul's podcast. This is Jonathan Soul speaking with you now. I got the honor and privilege of being part of a rocket launch. I'm talking to the pilot, the astronaut, the visionary, Danny J. Quick, the man, the myth, the legend who's brought us ACEBLADE, that I guess you could call him your friendly community ninja. Not so friendly. Kicking ass, not taking names. We have the PDFs that are available on places like, peepgamecomics.com. But all of us like paper. I got a stack of books next to me right now. And Danny is going to bless us with a 100-page masterpiece. Mr. Quick. So, you reached out to me, man, which I'm honored and appreciated, and you told me about this Kickstarter that's popping off May 5th. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Kickstarter on May 5th is for the complete ACEBLADE origin. It's going to be 4 comics. It's a collection. It's going to be labeled a graphic novel on Kickstarter. But it's going to have 4 comics in it. It's going to have some other short mini comics that we've done, to kind of flesh out ACEBLADE's, personality and things and stuff like that. So we're calling it the 100-page Ultimate Edition. And, I'm happy because it's taken us, I didn't know anything about comics when I started, 10 years ago. And now, to this point, it's really an accomplishment for me. So I'm really happy to just be finishing this arc out.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So I think I got ACEBLADE back before it was available on peepgamecomics.com. What other places are the books, the PDFs available? Where other sites are they available at now besides Peep Game Comics?
Right now, you can get them on Peep Game, of course. You can get them on Indie Planet. You can get ACEBLADE number 1 and 2 there. But we try to send everybody to our website, Fourth Wall Pros. The Fourth Wall Pros website is where you can get all of our content.
Okay. And that's the number 4, thwallpros.com. Okay. All right.
That's right.
And but of course, everybody wants that collector's item. I often tell this story. One of my best friends in high school, he asked me, "Hey, Jonathan, did you get and this is going to show my age. Hey, Jonathan, did you get the Action Comics number whatever, or Superman whatever?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Because they killed Superman." I was like, "You lying? You know what I mean?" So next thing I know, man, about a week later, in the mail, I pull out the book and I see this cover with Superman's raggedy thing on like a flag or something. I was like, they killed Supes. And so it was like a moment. And I tell this story often. When I got the 100-page book from of Brother Man, like their kind of ultimate origin, it was like that but heavier. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm going to have that feeling with this 100-page book. Just give us a little bit about the character. Tell us why we should care about this ACEBLADE property.
Man, that's high praise right there. Brother Davud, he's a man, and Keith and Jones also. I remember meeting him, a couple of actually 2 months ago. He walked by my table at a convention in Raleigh, North Carolina. And he, stopped for a second. He was like, "ACEBLADE," and I was like, "Oh my! How do you know who ACEBLADE is?
Yep.
How do you know who ACEBLADE is?" So that was dope for me, But ACEBLADE is he's a vigilante. ACEBLADE is just a man who's trying to use his tools to help the people around him. He cares about his city, Vegas City, and he hates greed. So, in the world right now, there's a lot of greed. There's a lot of people who will do anything for money. And, that affects everybody's lives, on a personal level. If your mailman, wants to make an extra dollar by stealing your mail, or if your garbage man wants to, sell your trash for, whatever, that kind of stuff right there can affect everybody's lives. So, greed is one of the things that everybody can relate with, and ACEBLADE kind of fights against it. in a different way. You know, he was a mixed martial arts champion, and he was done wrong in that first book. So, you know, he decided to go on a mission of revenge, and he has to decide if he's going to let to stick to his morals, or to become one of the things that he hates. So
now I remember in the first book, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, like didn't his coach like tell him to throw the fight or something like that?
Right. He was going to the championship fight, and his manager, he found out that his manager was fixing his fights before that. So the guy Terrell Durham, who was the secret identity of ACEBLADE, Terrell Durham, he didn't take that too well, because he's a very prideful man, and the one thing that he thought that he did have control over, he didn't have control over. So you know, it made him go into a dark place. And now this fourth book, and the final part of the book the story we're trying to tell, you know, is him getting to the point of having to confront that head on.
Now, is there a radioactive spider? Is there a magic lantern? Is there any kind of mutant powers involved with this ACEBLADE character?
No. I always tell people,
does he have a healing factor? Danny, does he have a healing factor?
There's no X gene. There's no nothing like that. He's just a straight up dude. He's an elite fighter. He's trained his whole life to become this elite fighter. But you know, that and his mastery of martial arts is the only superpower that he has. You know, he can get beat up, he can get shot, all of that stuff. I do tell people that he can double jump. I don't know if you play video games, but you know how in video games like Ninja Gaiden, you can jump and then jump again in midair.
Oh wow!
That's one of the that's his only superpower, is the ability to double jump. So, but
that's cool.
You know, it's
that's cool.
But that's about it.
Now, describe the city, because you know, one of the reasons why I personally wanted to go to Wakanda, to the Black Panther movie, is to see the city, see Wakanda. I always say that Gotham, you know, is just as much a character as Bruce Wayne or Batman. Can you describe the city, the environment that ACEBLADE operates in?
Right. That's another cool thing about ACEBLADE. There's not a lot of heroes that are in places like Las Vegas. In our books, it's called Vegas City, but it's a big gambling town. It's full of people who are looking to come in and strike it rich quick. It's full of people who are desperate, to make a dollar. So it's the prime place for him to fight against that greed and to show people that there's a better way than than just chasing the money all the time, because chasing money can lead to certain things, as we've seen in real life, that are detrimental to humanity. So,
Yeah. Now, I would say that this adage is true. A hero is only as good as his villain. Do you have a rogues gallery, and who would be some of the villains that ACEBLADE would fight?
You are asking. This is why I like you, though, brother. So you always ask the right question. you always asking the right question. So the rogues gallery. I actually worked really hard on ACEBLADE's villains. They all have separate things that that pull on ACEBLADE in different ways. One of my favorite cartoons growing up was the Batman animated series.
Yep.
And one of my favorite things was that Batman handled Catwoman one way, but Bruce Wayne, he dealt with Selena Kyle a totally different way.
Uh-huh.
So they were both trying to be helpful to the city, but they both had different ways of going about it. So ACEBLADE is kind of similar to that. His main villain is a guy called Gutshot, who's a business owner who will do anything to make a dollar. He will sell your organs. He will fix fights. He will pollute oceans. He'll do whatever he can to make some money. And that does lead to some radioactive super villains down the line and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which are who become some of the other people that ACEBLADE has to face. Like we have a young lady, a Latino supervillain named Roulette, and the word rue is like a cold mist on the ground.
Okay.
And her powers are, you know, ice powers and stuff like that. And blackjack. A lot of his villains have, you know, casino theme names and stuff like that. So yeah, he has a pretty extensive rogues gallery, but you know, it can only get bigger.
Now, see, this is something that's exciting because, you know, Batman he's one of the few superheroes whose rogues gallery, they have super powered villains. You know what I mean? And so that's greater odds. And so it sounds like ACEBLADE has a rogues gallery with some super powered or at least augmented villains. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, there's a.
So that's even harder to write, right? That's even harder to write those stories.
Right, especially when, you know, ACEBLADE doesn't have any superpowers of his own. Right. He has to get very resourceful, you know, pay attention, and, you know, I don't do martial arts myself, but a lot of my friends do, and they're very, you know, very detailed and into it very deeply. So they always tell me how, you know, martial artists have to use their strengths against, you know, their opponents. They have to use their opponents' weaknesses as a weapon against them, stuff like that. So all of that is in ACEBLADE's story.
Now, you mentioned greed, and, you know, he's on this kind of warpath to right some wrongs and to fix some corruption. Do you have any kind of political themes or any social commentary besides the greed theme that you mentioned?
There are some. I haven't delved too deeply into some of the things that I want to write yet. I do have a partner who writes for Fourth Wall Productions. He writes the story Lumberjacks, and he gets into some very touchy subjects very quickly in his comments. But ACEBLADE tries to focus on one thing. He's kind of he's one of those heroes that is kind of to himself, so he tries to stay focused on, you know, the mission in front of him. But there later on, I don't know if you know, I read a novel. I wrote a novel for ACEBLADE. You know, that was one of the first things that we put out.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and in the later chapters, he does get into some, you know, some political mischief and misappropriation of funds and stuff like that, and dealing with politicians and stuff like that. So yeah, he does get into that, but, you know, he tries to stick to everything, tries to come back to greed for him. So
now, in terms of like the maturity level of the content, are we talking, you know, like rated G, rated PG, rated R? Is it a mix? What is it?
ACEBLADE is mostly I'd say PG-13. I like for young adults and adults to read it. You know, young kids don't really care about greed; they just want to get candy and look at colors.
Right.
But the things are, you know, young adults to adult. There's no cussing, you know, in our books. There's not a lot of blood and killing, no you know, sex or anything like that. But, you know, the Lumberjacks book and there are other books that will get into that area, but, you know, we'll have those guidance on the book for people when they want to buy them.
Gotcha. Now, I noticed that in I think it was the first issue and maybe the second, I noticed a transition in terms of the art style. How are you approaching illustration in this 100-page graphic novel that we're talking about?
The art style actually changed right after the second book was over. So the reason that we chose to do that was because there was a tonal shift. There was the first and second book, you know, was just what happened. It was the inciting incident, what they say in writing, you know, telling what happened. Mm-hmm. In the third issue, you know, Terrell really becomes focused on just revenge. He wants to kill this guy who did him wrong. So, you know, the artist that we chose to go with, his lines are a little more aggressive and dynamic. So we thought that it would reflect the tone in the book a little bit better. And also, you know, going digital is a little bit cheaper than doing traditional paper and ink. So that worked out for us too.
Gotcha. Now, this final book, when it's all said and done, did you say it was going to be a digital book or a paper book?
All gonna be paperback. We'll sell it digitally on our website, but we'll have the graphic novels for purchase. And on the Kickstarter, you'll be able to get the Kickstarter is actually for the fourth of the series and then the collection. So you'll be able to get that fourth book by itself, and then you'll also be able to get the full graphic novel. So.
Okay, good. Well, let's talk about it. Tell me some of the perks. Do you have tiers yet? I mean, is there a A level, B level, big tamale level? Like, tell me.
We for our last Kickstarters, we did a lot of T-shirts and merchandise and all of this stuff, all this crazy stuff that we wanted to give away. But this one, we're kind of slimming it down. We're going to go back to the basics. We're going to do the books at a lower level, just the ACEBLADE number 4 you can buy by itself. You can get a package. You can get a digital package at the $25 level with all of the ACEBLADE books, and then a couple of half of an audio book that we recorded.
Whoa! Audio book? Are you serious?
Yeah, we did the first 5 chapters of the novel and an audio book for people to check out and see if they like the story. So that was one of the things that we include in our Kickstarter.
That is awesome! Wow. Yeah, I'm actually working on recording my audiobook for my novel. So tell me about that process.
Oh man, that's another thing. See, it's strange because as the CEO of the company, I always am looking to do new stuff. I always want to get out and find out, where people are. I want to go to where people are with the story. So, right. We got the comics, but I also want to do short film. We did comedy skits with it and stuff like that. And the kids these days, they're not reading books. I mean, everybody doesn't have the opportunity to sit down and read a book. So we wanted to give the opportunity for people to get the story if they wanted to listen to it in their car or whatever. So since we had the equipment, here at the house, I was like, you know what, let's record the audiobook and see, if people like it. It didn't cost us much money to do, and then, we could go on our website, and, it's been beneficial to us. So
Fantastic. Wow. So this is what we got. We have a ninja who has a vendetta against some very powerful people in Vegas City. There's been some corruption. There's been some violence. But it's a PG-13 book. It's going to be 100 pages when it's all said and done. You're going to have a new illustrator. There's going to be some new story arcs beyond the ones that we're familiar with in issues 1 and 2. And describe the illustrator's style. Somebody that maybe is drawn now, or do you have a name yet, or any details on that?
Yeah. Wally McNair, the same guy, the same artist. I call him the local legend. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
He is an amazing artist. His style is just so. It's kind of urban, if you can picture urban in your mind, with the heavy lines, the graffiti, but he also has the ability to put, so much action on the page and visually tell a story without having to use too many words. Mm-hmm. So he's just an amazing artist. I met him in 2012, I believe it was, at that same convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. So ever since then, I've wanted to work with him, and this is actually the 3rd book that we've done with him. So hopefully we can keep working together in the future.
Now, is he the illustrator that did that cover for was it ACEBLADE number 3 when he's doing like a gut punch to that big Hulk-looking guy?
We did an homage to Spider-Man versus the Hulk comic that Todd McFarlane did. Todd McFarlane is one of his favorite artists, so we did an homage cover to that because the big Hulk guy that's Gutshot, so he'll be facing off against him in the final book. So yes, he is the one who did that.
Now I advocate literacy on this program in the sense that, just like you said before, a lot of times kids today they're not reading as much, mm-hmm. So I think an easy way to get children to read, particularly our kids, African American, African kids, is to put a black superhero comic book in their hand. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but then again, there are people like me who like to collect comics. I mean, I still got my brother man number ones from the 90s in the plastic. I still got them. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. And so who's your audience? Is it, the dads who are buying it for the kids? Is it the kids, the teenagers? Who's your audience?
Yeah, I think our audience is more the parents who are buying comics for their kids. There's a lot of nostalgia for comics these days. ACEBLADE is really an homage to all the golden silver age comics that we loved growing up.
Okay.
So that's who our target audience is. The parents can enjoy them, but then they can also, hand them down to their kids because they're not too graphic. So I always say our audience is the parents, really. And they can understand the themes in our comics more than their kids, but it might be something that they want to hand down to their children in the future. So that's why we do a lot of the CGC, like we package our comics so that you can collect them and stuff like that. Yeah. Even though that's not as big anymore than as big as it used to be, but it's something that we care about, so that's why we do it.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it when I buy comics from, say, kid-comics.com. They send it in the plastic and it's autographed. So I almost every month I buy Purge, which is Roosevelt Pitt. He's over at Kid-Comics, and I give them away on the train to parents. I don't give them directly to the kids, because nowadays, but I give them to the parents. I send it down to my cousins down in North Carolina. I send it down there. As a matter of fact, I just sent my auntie. I actually sent it to her. I gave it to her in her hand. Maddie's Rocket, which is Tim Fielder's book with the kind of like an homage to Bessie Coleman or Bess Coleman or whatever, the female pilot back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, man, so they get the books, they love them. So this is what we got. We have a vigilante who has a tremendous rogues gallery. We have this 100-page graphic novel that's coming. And you're not asking for a lot of bread, man. What are you asking for?
We're only asking for $1,600 to finish everything. It's we've already put a lot of our own money into this. This is our, like I said, the first 3 books are already finished. So we, how I do. I don't do Kickstarters for. I don't want to break anybody's pockets. I just want to get the material out. I want to get it created, and I want to get it to people the best way possible. So we only ask for $1,600, and that'll cover the cost to pay the artist, and then we're gonna, we'll pay for the shipping and distribution and stuff like that. So.
Now, I do gotta ask this question, brother, and you might know what I'm asking because I mentioned this in the Karen Horn thing. I have this book here. Oh, it's under my computer. I was part of this Kickstarter for this comic. It had all this mad fanfare and everything. And then it took 2 years to give us the book. Now, Mr. Quick, I know you're not going to do us like that, man. I know you. Now, I'm not asking you to make any promises, you know what I mean? Because, this is a fluid process or whatever. But, like, how much of the book is complete? You know what I mean? Like, how far into the process are we right now?
Yeah, that's what I said. It took me almost a year to do our first Kickstarter, but ever since then we've been cutting the time down a lot. So this last one that we did, we completed the Kickstarter at the beginning of December, and we were shipping books by the end of February. We were shipping books out.
Whoa! Wait a minute! You finished the Kickstarter in December, and they got the books in February.
Yep,
man, that's better than Marvel. That's better than Marvel, ain't it? Goddamn.
No, it's just. Actually, I've been following another young creator, Sean Mack, and his team, and I've just learned a lot from them. And I think it's best in Kickstarters if the book is almost complete.
Yeah.
So our book is like I said, it's almost 80% complete. We only got 20 pages left, and by November, I think everybody will have their books by November, and we can, premiere the book at NC Comic-Con in Durham.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So just give us the contact information. Let us know when the Kickstarter link is going to be up. Give us all the relevant details.
Absolutely. So May 5th, like I said, the Kickstarter goes live that morning. That's Free Comic Book Day. And as a matter of fact, I want to give a free comic book to all of your listeners. So if you go to our website, www.fourthwallpros, that's 4thwallpros.com, and go to our store and put ACEBLADE #1 in your cart. You can use the promotion code SOUL, in all caps, SOUL, and you'll get that comic book for free. So,
my man, my man, that's beautiful. So we go to fourthwallpros.com. We go to the store. We get ACEBLADE #1, put in the cart, and put the promo code SOUL, right? All caps, and then we got the book for free.
There you go. You got the book for free. You can check it out, and then you can see if you like it. You can, if you want to finish the story on May 5th, you'll be able to get the whole story. And if you don't, pass it on to somebody else. They might enjoy it. So.
Beautiful. Where can we get when is your Kickstarter link going to be up? Is it up now? When does that happen?
The Kickstarter goes live on May 5th, and the link will be www.acebladecomic.com.
Gotcha.
So everybody can use that link, and it'll go straight to the Kickstarter, acebladecomic.com.
Wow. Now that's maybe a week or so away. People may want to follow you on social media, reach out to you, that kind of thing. How can we get in contact with you on social media?
Absolutely. I've followed Karama's advice again, and got onto Twitter, and you can find me at the ACEBLADE on Twitter, and Instagram also, and of course at our website fourthwallpros.com. There's a contact form there if you want to ask us questions anytime.
Fantastic. And this is kind of like a bonus question. Let's say I'm a new creator and I just want some advice. I want to learn from maybe some, the bumps and bruises that you've taken in this whole journey. Can somebody reach out to you on that basis?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're always, I'm not, as experienced as maybe a Sanford Green or, somebody like that. I'm not Tallahassee Coates or anything, but
Tallahassee Coates never wrote comics before.
I know you got that joke, but absolutely. Okay. The stuff that I've learned over the years, I like to give it right back to people. Beautiful. And I'll answer any questions to the best of my ability. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Mr. Danny J. Quick, it's been an honor to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me again, sir. I really do appreciate it.